Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. On this episode, Area Sales Manager Aaron Harpole joins us on location in a Millie 8 wheat field in Carbondale, Illinois. Hear about everything under the sun about wheat, from growing conditions to maturities to heading time, fungicide timing, and harvesting. Ben shares a GDU Accumulation map for the 2026 season. And Dylan has a Southeast Iowa wheat update from local growers.
Hi, this is Joe Merschman. Welcome to Merschman Seeds Cup of Joe. Today we have Ben, Dylan, and Lynn, and a special guest from Southern Illinois. I'll turn it over to Ben.
Yeah, so today we have Aaron Harpole with us, who is from Fancy Farm, Kentucky. He is actually out in a wheat field, and we kind of wanted to give growers a little bit of an update on where we are tracking and what things look like in an area that is actually able to progress, actually able to get something done, because we are definitely holding and waiting for the right conditions to happen. So, Aaron, what are things like, before we get to talking about the wheat that's behind you, what are things like right now? What is the planting progress? Kind of talk about the area that you cover, north, south, east, west, and what's going on down in your neck of the woods.
It is full send mode right now from Southern Illinois down to Tennessee, Kentucky. It is full speed ahead. Got guys finishing up, got guys half done. Got guys just getting started, so it's kind of all over the board right now, but it's a lot of acres getting planted right now.
What has the condition for the soil been like? Are you warm enough? Has it been too wet? Have you been getting ideal rains? What's the weather been like?
We are dry, really dry. Dry enough. We got an inch rain Saturday, and guys were back planting fields Monday afternoon. That's how dry we were. Just soaked it up. Wind's been blowing, sunny, warm. Could use some more rain.
Well, we would probably like to transfer some of what we're getting back down your direction, but
it'll eventually make its way there.
Yeah.
The river.
But you're kind of happy because last year it was wet, right?
Yeah. It's a tale of two different years. Last year was, probably one of the wettest springs on record, and right now we're close probably the driest. So, been a tale of 2 years.
So between the 2 years, it's average, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, one of the reasons that we had Aaron on and we wanted to talk about the situation and the wheat that he's looking at is the date of recording. We are looking at April 10th, and he is in a field of Millie 8, if I remember correctly, Aaron?
Correct. Yep, correct.
Yep, so Millie 8 was one of our first hyper early lines that we brought to market. We coined the term hyper early because we're looking at some of the earliest, highest yielding wheat lines that are available on the market today. Typically, what is your normal heading date on wheat, and how does this wheat compare to what quote unquote normal looks like?
We're probably 3 weeks ahead of normal. And it started headed out 3 days ago. And it's looking at the field, it's probably 50 to 75%, somewhere in that ballpark, headed out. So we're well ahead of schedule.
Aaron, where are you at exactly?
Just outside of Carbondale, Illinois.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. I know that in the history of what our wheat sales look like for Merschman seeds, we typically run the medium early and some of the fuller season lines. We will sell those down in our southern region, the mid-south, the southern Midwest. Reason for that being, we did plant a few of our ultra early lines down there. Guys got along with them great, but it's probably been 4 or 5 years ago. Aaron, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had some of these earlier lines get nipped by a late frost, and that's one of the reasons that these earlier lines, they have a lot of reward, but they come with just a little bit of risk because these products come out of winter. They come out of overwintering earlier than what some of the medium early lines do. They start jointing earlier, they start heading earlier, and they become more susceptible to cooler weather. But when the risk is worth the reward, it comes to what we're looking at potentially behind us here, because the old rule of thumb, and I've talked to many wheat experts about this, is it's about 6 weeks from heading time till harvest time, and 6 weeks from today potentially could put you at a May 15th harvest date, May 20th harvest date?
Yeah, middle to end of May is what I'm thinking.
That's absolutely incredible. Talk about what that does for the double crop opportunity in that area. What does middle to end of May yields look like on double crop soybeans compared to July 4th?
It'll be drastic difference. If the wheat does well and can get in that early and get those extra bushels planting so much earlier, it's going to be a win-win for the farmer.
And one of the reasons why they're headed out, and like locally here in West Point, we're not headed out yet, but is you've had more heat units, warmer temperatures.
Right.
But we did a little bit of math, and we think our wheat locally here will be heading out in what, less than 2 weeks?
Well, if you're at 530 growing degree units and you are heading out, we are at 304 if we're averaging 10 GDUs or 12 GDUs a day. We're not too far behind you because we are running a little bit ahead of schedule as well. We're running about the same percentage ahead of schedule compared to the 10-year average. So we're nipping at your heels, but we're definitely not headed out yet. It sure feels like we're a long way away when the wheat's 6 inches tall here.
But that would put us mid-June to the latter part, third week of June, to be harvesting locally here then too.
Yeah, 100%. So anything interesting about this field, Aaron, for planting dates? Was it put in early? Was it put in late? What do we know about the specifics?
Planted October 1st through the 4th at 2 million seeds an acre behind corn. And it looks phenomenal.
Show us the wheat. We got to see it close up.
Well, he's doing that. I guess one thing that to highlight with the ultra and hyper early is that we always get the question asked: is it the Julian calendar, or is it the GDUs that make the wheat do what it needs to do? And in these aspects, it's a little bit of both. And this is where the GDU side takes a little bit of an advantage over the Julian calendar, is that it's had the heat units and it's making its way through its progression very quickly.
Yeah, the Julian calendar starts January 1st, and last year in the University of Illinois yield trials, our wheat was the earliest heading wheat, and they classified it as 0, and everything was later than it. So Peyton 2 is another outstanding hyper early variety we have besides the Millie. So for folks that are really wanting to move the double crop opportunity earlier and farther north, we're the place to go because we've been working on it longer than just about anybody. Good looking wheat.
Here's the heads.
Wow, you're already starting flowering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, looks like the old retailer is going to be working on fungicide this weekend, Aaron.
Yes, 100%. Yes, for sure.
Judging by your shirt, they could just start in the bottom of the field and let it go on up through the rest of the field, as windy as it is.
Say that again.
I said, as windy as it is, looks like the retailer could just go to the bottom of the field and turn the booms on and
let her blow.
Yeah.
So today, what are you doing?
I am. I've been to RD and taking beans to Shaker Prairie.
So it's like you said, it's busy time right now for you, isn't it?
Oh, it's crazy. Then got to go back to RD and then go to Paris, Tennessee.
Well, if anybody's not familiar with RD, that's our production point down there in Olmsted, Illinois, where the Ohio meets the Mississippi River. So it's one of our shipping points and production points. Folks down there do a great job for us.
100%. Anything else you'd like to add, Aaron, before we let you go, get those beans delivered?
No, I'm good.
Perfect. Well, keep us in the loop. I know that this is not the only field that is headed out of the Millie 8 that you have down there. I know that there's been 3 or 4 customers. The first one called in was last Friday, actually. You and I talked about it on the way home, and I'm like, man, do we treat this wheat any different? Is there anything different that we need to do with the fact that this wheat is as early as it is? And there really isn't. Treat it like high-yielding wheat. Make sure you get your fungicides on time. Make sure that you have the combine ready, because it seems like before you turn around twice, things are going to be ready to rock and roll.
Well, it sounds like you'll have the first crop in, so it will truly be double crop. Won't be harvesting wheat, planting beans, and double cropping at the same time like some years.
Yeah.
What we've seen in the past.
It's it looks like the way it's going, we're going to be done with that and maybe have a little break in between. So.
Yep, he jinxed it.
Got to recoup.
Did you hear
ready to go.
You hear what Lynn said? Lynn said you just jinxed it.
Well, perfect. We appreciate your time, Aaron, and we will catch you soon, I'm sure. We will continue to highlight what's going down on your area in future Cup of Joe episodes, so keep us informed, okay?
All right, will do. Thank y'all.
Travel
Thanks,
safe.
Aaron.
Yeah, so appreciate Aaron giving us that report. So just to kind of highlight a little bit here, why we felt it's so important to talk about it, and what he just showed there was how fast with these GDUs this stuff is progressing. So Friday was a phone call on heads starting to pop out, and then now seeing flowering. Ben, why is that important related to the window? We highlighted a little bit of the fungicide, but why is that so important for high yielding wheat for that timing?
Well, one of the things that we're trying to do, there's two different fungicide application timeframes. One is flag leaf, but if you've been fairly dry and there's not things like stripe rust or leaf rust or powdery mildew, if those aren't present out in the fields, I don't think flag leaf, and this is kind of controversial compared to different agronomists. Some guys will say that the flag leaf is the most important. I believe that the heading time is the most important fungicide application, which comes after flag leaf, obviously. And the reason for that heading time fungicide, and the reason that it is so important, is you are protecting the kernels in the head at that time with specific fungicides designed to protect the head at that time from fusarium blight, because head blight, fusarium head blight is one of the fastest ways that we can lose wheat quality, wheat yield, and just a wild number. Test weight, yeah. Yep, that's part of the wheat yield right there.
And when it's flowering, that's when the plant's really susceptible, because the fusarium will feed off that flowering material. And so if you get a lot of wet weather during flowering, that's when you have a lot of disease.
Yeah, and it's terrible, because you can go from a customer that uses fungicide and he's running 62-pound wheat test weight, and somebody that had a bad head scab infestation can be in the 40s, and the grain's almost not sellable at that point. You're getting docked so bad it's not even worth raising the wheat, and the price of wheat isn't great anyway to start right now. I mean, not like we're talking $7.50 wheat, so we really need to protect the heads that we have there. So fungicide timing is important. The product that we like to use the most and that we recommend on all of our seed grower acres is the Miravis Ace product. The reason for that being is it has the widest window for application. So if rain is in the forecast and we need to go a little bit earlier, we have a little bit more protection, longer season. But what you're looking for is basically the step that Aaron is at right there is called enthesis, and he's a day or two away from those anthers that are getting ready to accept pollen, start turning orange. That is the 100% sweet spot, but you're still getting 90% of protection, 100% of protection when you're a day or two ahead or a day or two behind.
And the other thing too is genetically our wheats have drastically improved.
Yeah.
I can remember back in the day we had a variety called KD7, and it was unbeatable in the dry year, and in the following year it was a wet year and it was nothing but head scab, and this goes back to the 80s. Over the years we now have varieties that have good tolerance to head scab, and we also have certain varieties in our lineup that have a specific gene that will actually arrest head scab infections genetically. So that's why we're getting much better test weights, because we got better fungicides, we got better genetics, and this is why those of you that planted wheat back in the 80s and gave it up because of head scab, it's a different ballgame. Normally, you would never, ever plant wheat after corn, because all that stalk and rotting material is fusarium, which creates an environment to spread up to the plant. Today, it's not as risky, and it can be managed, and it's not, in fact, I think we get more and more farmers planting after corn now, and we would never do that in the past. So things have really changed, and then now we have the hyper early and ultra early varieties, which makes the double crop opportunity almost up to Interstate 80. When you say, well, you've got it in Wisconsin, we've had it too. Yep. So it's a different ball game, and that's why wheat's interested again before the lighter soils and the more marginal ground.
Yeah, I mean, unbelievable yield potential for them the double crop. If they are harvesting their wheat on May 15th, May 20th, that's 5 to 10 days earlier than we've ever seen. The earliest we saw was Southern Illinois with a hyper early line 2 years ago on May 25th or May 26th.
And that was I think of some reclaimed ground that has some stress to it. So when stuff starts to get a little bit dry, that stuff tends to progress pretty quick, similar to sand S. So, I mean, this is, as we saw there, that's not what I would call stressier quote unquote dirt. It looks like fairly productive Southern Illinois style hill ground. So it's not an anomaly. It's more of what the location or the geographical area standard is.
So we are not saying that this is when the wheat's always going to head out. You get a cold spring, it's going to be a little bit later, but we're just saying this is the reality today and the potential today.
Yeah, and when you talk about that, I'm going to use my two maps that I've shown on the podcast before, but this is from the National Phenology Network, and the two maps that I had pulled up are leaf out, and I went and actually kind of looked at why they call leaf out or how they're measuring leaf out compared to bloom, but they actually measure leaf out from lilac and honeysuckle plants, and then the blooming of lilac and honeysuckle plants, and that's how they're making their colors lighter. The cooler colors are later, the darker reds, the warmer colors are earlier, and you can see from the leaf out index, you can see from the blooming index right there where they are at in Carbondale, Illinois. Not extreme Southern Illinois, but pretty far down there, Southern Illinois. I bet they're running every bit of 17, 18 days ahead of schedule based on the colors that are down there. So it makes sense why they're tracking as far ahead as they are. And as you can see, there's a lot of warm colors as we move to the north and to the west. So
Can't confirm we hacked our lilac bush off and it's starting to leaf out right now. So
I saw a bloom on one last week in Fort Madison. Fort Madison's a little bit warmer, a sandier soil type thing. So yeah, we are definitely heading towards an early spring. We are warm, wet, at least locally here and Ben looked into his crystal ball and says right now, according to the data, what?
April 23rd, 24th looks like there might be an opportunity in that time frame for field work and planters to start again. But
on sand.
I'm just not jinxing myself.
That's right. Anyhow, be ready.
Yeah, I do have a shout out. Turk's prediction, I finally saw a turkey vulture at the end of our driveway before this predicted snow of this week, which we got none.
Yep.
And they were in the end of the driveway. So Turk was correct on the no snow falling on its back.
No snow on the back of a turkey buzzard once he comes up north. So
the last thing that I wanted to share is this graphic that I pulled, and this is a GDU accumulation map from Nutrien's ag weather website that they have, and this tracks right around where Aaron is at for the GDUs, and it kind of goes back, we already highlighted this, but they're at 530 GDUs for the 26 growing season. The second highest was 422 in 24, 360 in 23, 352 in 25. Their 10-year average is 308. So what you're looking at is 530 compared to 308 as their average for their GDU accumulation. That's 72% higher for us. We are at 304 GDUs, 173 is our 10-year average. We are 75% ahead of schedule where we are sitting here currently today. So
it says when the ground's fit, plant.
Yep. What's the local wheat look like? I know you and I have been looking at local wheats in different stands.
Yeah, so last week we talked about maybe some cold damage that guys were starting to see or some nitrogen burn, and we go back a few days later. Ben went up north and I was around local. Where we thought maybe we had some nitrogen burn, they're pretty much non-existent now. The wheat's looking really good. It's really starting to get some height to it, so no problems there. And then maybe in some of our spots where we had a bad stand or more of that cold damage, they're really starting to tiller out, fill those gaps, and really starting to grow. So they're starting to come out of those ugly bad spells that we're having. So guys were starting to, or they had to make their nitrogen decisions, so we had to make a decision on whether we were going to maybe keep it or what they were going to do. So hopefully all the signs are pointing to that we made the right move, that they're going to tiller out and be good, healthy wheat. So
yeah, residue.
Yep.
Residue is so important when it comes to getting wheat established and making sure that wheat is in the ground, because the picture that I took up from Wisconsin, the wheat was in the ground 1.5 inches, and it was 3 times as tall, very healthy, 6 tillers per plant on what you're looking at, so very, very prolific tillering. And then the stuff that was basically right at soil surface, maybe 1/10 of an inch into the soil, 1 tiller. not healthy, not progressing as fast, not taking advantage of the heat accumulation of the soil, but you could still row the wheat. So on the stuff that I looked at, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, and when we talk about residue too, it's not just like in corn stalks that we were talking about there, but it is like making sure we're getting the straw from our soybeans distributed the right amount on edge rows. It's not just on corn. So if you're thinking about both, it really needs to make sure we're really keen on even on no-tilling into bean stubble.
Yeah, if you're no-tilling, I mean, at this point, we're probably 4 years into the determination of aim for a half an inch deeper than what you maybe think you need to be, just to make sure that you have in your controlled spill, your worst offenders are still at least half inch to 3/4 of an inch in the ground. I mean, we've seen some stuff even getting close to that 2.5 to 3 inch range, and it comes out and it looks phenomenal. Whereas the alternative is not getting it in the ground and starting to see stuff go backwards. So,
and you can use your planter, your 15-inch planter, and you can plant it in 15-inch rows, or you can make it into a diamond if you got a better no-till planter for managing residue. So, I mean, the drill is still ideal, but 15-inch planters will work.
Yep. There's no problem planting wheat 2 inches deep, right, Joe?
No, I think you can go that deep. You know, the lower you put that crown in the soil, it's a lot like corn. You know, you're going to protect that crown from winter freeze and winter kill, and like you said, shallow planted wheat, you know, creates some problems.
Yep.
Well, my good friend up at Shell Rock, Iowa, Jeff Ranks, sent me a joke to start us off today. And he said it's bad, but I said bad's good in our case when it comes to corny jokes. Anyhow, this is his joke, okay? I appreciate you, Jeff, for sending it in. He's my #1 ghostwriter right now, okay? What does a pig say on a hot summer day? What does a pig say on a hot summer day? I'm baking. What animal needs to wear a wig? What animal needs to wear a wig? A bald eagle, okay? Now this one here, I know if you ever go through Cedar Rapids, Iowa, up by Oskaloosa, they got these stupid cameras, you know, that check your speed. Well, a motorist got caught by a speed camera, received a notification of a fine in the mail, plus a picture of the vehicle. Duly impressed, he sent back the notification along with a photo of a $100 bill to pay the fine. Great idea. Now this one here is for the ladies, okay? You know, I've been picking on them, and so I figured, you know, I need to reverse it. So here we go. Here's one for the ladies, okay? This woman came across a frog that needed to be freed, so she got it out of its predicament and freed the frog. And the frog immediately turned and said, "Thank you, I appreciate you helping me out. And for that, I'll give you 3 wishes. And whatever you wish for, however, your husband's going to get 10 times more of what you wish for." So the woman said that would be okay, and her first wish was she wanted to be the most beautiful woman in the world. The frog warned her, "You do realize that if you wish for that, your husband will be the most handsome man in the world, and women will flock to him." The woman replied, "That'll be okay, because I will be the most beautiful woman in the world, and he will only have eyes for me." So kazam, she was the most beautiful woman in the world. For her second wish, she wanted to be the richest woman in the world. The frog said, "Remember now, your husband's going to be the richest man in the world, and he will be 10 times richer than you." The woman said, "That'll be okay, because what is mine is his, and what is his is mine." So kazam, she was the richest woman in the world. The frog then asked, "What about your third wish?" And she answered, "I would like to have a mild heart attack." Remember, he's going to get 10 times more.
That's not where I thought that was going.
I knew there was somewhere along those lines.
Well, you know, the ladies always win in the end. So anyhow, whether you like it or not, that's this week's episode. We sincerely appreciate your business. We can't thank you enough, and we hope that your family is safe and healthy. We'll see you next week.